Familiar failure feels safe for one reason. You already know how it hurts. You know the weight of this disappointment. You know where to place the blame. You know how to survive the outcome. There are no surprises here. Failure at this level is predictable. Predictability feels like control. You know which bills will be tight. You know which dreams you'll postpone. You know exactly how to explain it to yourself. That familiarity creates competence. You've learned how to lose without collapsing. Success would take that away. Success would make you new again. Untrained, uncertain, visible. You wouldn't know the rules yet. You wouldn't know the language. You wouldn't know how to hide mistakes. And that terrifies people more than failure ever could. Familiar failure lets you feel intelligent. It lets you analyze, rationalize, narrate. You can talk about what went wrong without ever confronting what didn't happen. Winning strips that story. Winning doesn't care about effort or intention or potential. It leaves only evidence, and evidence is ruthless. So you stay where your identity still functions, where your self-respect doesn't require reinvention, where your excuses still sound reasonable. You tell yourself you're being patient, strategic, responsible. But what you're really doing is choosing a loss you understand over a future you'd have to earn. That choice feels calm, orderly, safe. And that is exactly why it keeps you where you are. You're not trapped. That's the first illusion that needs to collapse. Trapped implies force, pressure from the outside, a door locked by someone else. That is not what this is. This is agreement. You wake up in the same place, move through the same routines, respond to the same pressures, accept the same limits. Then you label it circumstance. That label is convenient. It removes responsibility. It protects your self-image, because the moment you admit you chose this life, you also admit no one owes you a rescue. Stuck sounds unlucky. It sounds like something happened to you. It sounds temporary, but loyalty to familiar failure sounds deliberate. So you choose the softer word. Here's what's actually happening. No one is holding you where you are. You remain because this level is survivable. It doesn't demand reinvention. It doesn't threaten your identity. It doesn't require you to risk looking inexperienced or exposed. You know how to function here. You know how to struggle here. You know how to explain why nothing changes without ever changing anything. You've learned the language, the rhythms, the excuses. You've mastered this version of limitation. That is not a trap. It's a dependency you've grown comfortable defending. Comfort doesn't arrive loudly. It slides in quietly, disguised as relief. You tell yourself you've earned it, after the stress, after the disappointment, after another day of not moving forward. Comfort feels like a reward, but it's a sedative. Look at how your days are structured. Same wake up, same screen, same scroll, same noise. You consume before you create, react before you decide, fill time before you face yourself. Nothing here feels dangerous. That's the problem. Comfort is designed to keep you occupied, not advancing. Entertained, not effective. Informed, not transformed. You mistake stimulation for progress. Content replaces courage. Planning replaces action. Talking replaces building. You feel busy, mentally engaged, emotionally invested, yet nothing actually moves. Comfort doesn't tell you to stop. It tells you to slow down just enough that urgency never arrives. It whispers patience. It whispers balance. It whispers now isn't the time. And because nothing collapses immediately, you assume everything is fine. This is how ambition dissolves, not through failure, through comfort that never challenges you to leave. The loop tightens quietly. Scroll, consume, recover, repeat. Each cycle feels harmless. Each cycle trains you to wait, and waiting becomes your lifestyle. You're not exhausted from effort, you're exhausted from stagnation. Comfort keeps you calm enough to tolerate a life that should disturb you. That's the loop. And the longer you stay inside it, the harder it becomes to remember what urgency ever felt like. You think you're holding on because it's practical, because it makes sense, because it's realistic. That's not why. You're holding on because letting go would change how people see you, and worse, how you see yourself. You are loyal to the version of you that survived, the one that learned the rules, the one that figured out how to cope. That version kept you alive, so you protect it. But survival is not the same as progress. Growth demands betrayal, betrayal of habits, betrayal of environments, betrayal of people who only know you one way, and betrayal creates tension. When you change, distance forms. When distance forms, relationships strain. When relationships strain, clarity arrives. You start to see who benefited from you staying the same, who was comfortable with your limits, who never questioned your ceiling. So instead of expanding, you compress. You lower the target, you soften the ambition, you tell yourself you're being reasonable. But what you're really doing is shrinking to preserve familiarity. Familiar failure doesn't ask you to disappoint anyone. It doesn't force confrontation. It doesn't make you the outlier. Outgrowing the room would. So you stay loyal to the old self. Not because it's right, because it's recognized. And recognition feels safer than becoming someone you'd have to defend. Potential sounds like praise. It isn't. It's a delay mechanism. You're talented. You could be great. You just haven't had the right moment. Those words feel supportive. They suspend accountability. Potential keeps the spotlight off results and locked on to possibility. As long as you're capable, no one asks what you've produced, including you. Potential lets you stay unfinished without triggering urgency. You can prepare forever, study forever, refine forever, and still call it progress. But potential has a shelf life. At some point, the question shifts. Not what could you do, but what did you do? And that moment is brutal because it arrives quietly. No announcement, no warning. You wake up one day and realize the world has stopped waiting. The praise fades, the patience disappears, the excuses lose their power. What remains is evidence. And evidence does not negotiate. Most people never feel robbed. They feel preserved. Preserved in preparation, preserved in comfort, preserved just below execution. That's the danger of potential. It keeps you safe long enough to waste your best years without ever confronting the cost. You say you want freedom, but freedom isn't what you're protecting. You're protecting control. Control over how you're perceived, control over outcomes, control over how much risk you're willing to feel. Control keeps your identity intact. It keeps your excuses polished. It keeps you from looking unprepared. But growth doesn't negotiate with control. It dismantles it. The moment you move forward, you lose the ability to predict how things unfold. You will hesitate. You will misstep. You will look inexperienced, and that is exactly where most people stop. Not because they can't continue, but because control feels safer than progress. Familiar failure gives you authority. You know the terrain, you know the rules, you know how to recover. Growth drops you into uncertainty. No script, no guarantees, no applause, just pressure, and pressure exposes priorities. If you truly wanted freedom, you'd accept chaos. You'd trade polish for momentum. Certainty for leverage, comfort for capability. Control is not strength, it's a cage you decorate. The moment you loosen your grip, your world expands. But expansion demands energy, risk, initiation. So ask yourself this, are you actually chasing freedom or just defending a version of control that keeps you from ever testing your limits? Here's the part most people never calculate. Not choosing is still a decision. Every delay feels harmless, every pause feels reasonable, every later sounds mature. But time is not neutral. While you hesitate, your standards quietly set, your income stabilizes, your habits solidify, your ceiling locks in. Nothing collapses, nothing explodes, which is why you miss it. You don't fall behind dramatically. You drift into routines you didn't design, into responsibilities you didn't choose, into a life that slowly becomes permanent. And one day you defend it. Not because it fulfills you, but because it's familiar. You explain why this is just how things are, why now isn't the time, why risk doesn't make sense anymore. That's when the cost arrives, not as regret, as realization. The realization that you didn't lose your future. You postponed it until it expired. You were never trapped. You were positioned by what you were willing to tolerate. Every ceiling you live under was negotiated quietly, not with force, with comfort. The exit does not appear as motivation, it appears as disgust with predictability, disgust with rehearsed excuses, disgust with knowing exactly how this story ends if nothing changes. That feeling is not negativity, it's awareness. It's the moment your nervous system rejects stagnation. From here, there are only two paths. One keeps you explainable, safe, unchallenged. The other requires you to move before you feel ready. To choose momentum over mastery, to accept instability as the price of growth. No one opens the door for you. You step through it the moment your tolerance drops. Until then, this life will continue to fit perfectly, predictable, controlled, unfinished. The exit has always been there. The question is how much longer you're willing to stay.